I have been blooded, as they say. Good afternoon, everyone. It's always difficult to speak last, and particularly with such a competent lineup as we have today. I certainly think a lot of the themes have already been covered, and probably far more eloquently than I can hope to do it, but I shall certainly do my best. Just, I suppose, to say I'm very, very honoured and very pleased to have been invited 2 years in a row to address the MacGill Summer School. I'd like to particularly thank Joe and everybody involved. I think it's a wonderful event, and I think anybody who is here for a few days or has the opportunity to even stay for the week, I certainly envy you, and I have no doubt but that you will have a thoroughly exciting and interesting experience. When I was a child, I had a rare and a somewhat strange interest in politics and all aspects of current affairs. Believe it or believe it not, as a child of 6 or 7, I was fascinated by everything to do with the business of politics. And perhaps even more bizarrely, I truly believed that a politician could make a genuine difference to the country. I grew up in the era of Garrett and Charlie, and I'm absolutely delighted that Garrett is here today. And to my innocent eyes, it was the personification of the battle between right and wrong, the battle between light versus darkness. It intrigued me and it inspired me, and it whetted my appetite for an eventual entry into active political engagement. And similarly, when I was a child, the O'Malley high dynamic within the Fianna Fáil party enthralled me. I remember watching the very first conferences of the Progressive Democrats on television in the mid and late 1980s. I believed that Dessie O'Malley had some profound higher calling based on his willingness to challenge the all-powerful Charles J. Haughey. And as a child, I genuinely believed that Des O'Malley was a true patriot. And I thought that there could be no higher aspiration in life than to become a politician and to aim to bring truth and honour into public life in Ireland. Years later, I look at politics in Ireland and I wonder where and why it has all gone wrong. Miraculously, some may say, I have achieved my childhood dream of becoming a politician, of entering the national parliament, but my simple and definite image of the battle between good and bad has been thwarted somewhat. The possibilities and the potential for real change, which shined so brightly for me as a child, now seem, sadly, further away than ever. The apathy amongst many politicians is palpable. The labyrinth of bureaucracy within the political system is stifling. The lack of ambition amongst all political parties, as well as their studious dodging of courageous political decisions, leaves me cold. The absolute and all-consuming commitment to standing for nothing can be soul-destroying. Sameness and uniformity are paraded by politicians and political parties as proudly as a prize bull at the county show. Obviously, I am one of those politicians and I represent one of those political parties, which gives me some insight and, of course, it's fair to say, affords me some degree of culpability too. The objective for most politicians these days is not to break new political ground in the pursuit of some lofty national or public interest. No, the primary aspiration of most politicians is conformity. And with blind conformity comes mediocrity. It is essential, if a politician wishes to succeed, to progress politically, that they conform to the party line. So the first question must be, what exactly is the party line? Well, it seems to me, after my 3 years in national politics, that the party line is usually a kind of a hybrid entity. It's a bit like a hybrid car running on one or two or possibly three power sources. It's made up of positions which emanate, firstly, from paid party officials, who are generally not party members and may have absolutely no commitment to, nor belief in, the values upon which the party is anchored. These positions appear and emerge on an ad hoc basis. They're then stress-tested on cross-sections of normal people called focus groups. The party line is then tailored according to the pronouncements of such focus groups. Generally, experience suggests that focus groups are resolutely in favour of things like motherhood and apple pie, and it's probably fair to conclude that focus groups generally disapprove of such horrors as humanitarian crises, genocide, war, and what is known as fiscal rectitude, or tightening the purse strings to save for the rainy day. Upon completion of this intensive process of policy formulation, the party position is ultimately signed off on by a collection of politicians known as the Parliamentary Party. However, it's unlikely that they will actually see the policy in written copy, as they cannot be trusted by the poor beleaguered party handlers not to leak it to the press. Having completed this rigorous and intellectually challenging process of policy formulation, we arrive at what is familiarly known as the party line. The role of defending the party line then, and selling it, becomes the lofty responsibility of the party leader and his or her front bench. They must ensure that no politician think independently or, God forbid, assess or analyse or scrutinise the party position. In most modern democracies, there is a whip system, where a whip system exists. The severity of the whip imposed by the party depends, quite logically, on how critical a parliamentary vote is to either the programme of government or to the platform of the opposition. This is a rational and, in my view, a good thing. In Ireland, however, and some of the previous speakers have alluded to this, the most stringent form of whip, the three-line whip, is imposed for every single vote. This demonstrates to me a lack of confidence amongst political parties. It shows an immature democracy, which urgently needs to grow up to meet the needs of a mature people, a mature public. It also creates a fertile environment for mediocrity to flourish, where politicians are enabled and indeed encouraged to avoid all individual accountability. The result of our entrenched and archaic party whip system is that our politicians can dodge personal responsibility for their own political decisions. For politicians with no scruples, no values and no backbone, a political party is a wonderful hiding place. It's rare that such a person will ever be exposed. They will never have to defend their position or stand over their convictions. Indeed, they generally have no positions or convictions apart from a win my seat at all costs type of mentality. They enjoy being shielded by the ubiquitous whip system, which gives fail-safe protection for the politically and ideologically impotent. I do believe that almost every politician who stands for political office does so, at least at the outset, for genuine and for worthy reasons. However, many very quickly become part of the system, part of the club, where the rules of engagement demand blind loyalty and blind adherence to the party line. This means that even when a politician believes and knows that something being said or done by his or her party is wrong, he or she is fearful and quite unlikely to point this out. This is the culture which gave us the Mahon Tribunal and the Moriarty Tribunal. It's the culture which turned a blind eye to the questionable practices of Charles Haughey, Ray Burke, Bertie Ahern, Michael Lowry and others. It is also the political ethos which led this country into the economic morass in which we now wallow. What saddens and disappoints me, as someone relatively new to the political system, is that when we hear plans for political reform, most of what is said amounts to mere window dressing. No political party is talking about a real departure for Irish politics. They're happier to tinker around the edges. Very few politicians want a radical shift from the crony politics of the nod and the wink. Our system is rooted and built on creeping, obsequious advancement and preferment. It rewards mediocrity, a commitment not to rock the boat, and a supposed loyalty to the party above all else. Indeed, our abuse of the term party loyalty would have fitted well in the Soviet Union. Beliefs, values, principles, and even loyalty to one's country are deemed inferior to this blind party loyalty. My colleague Brian Hayes, in an interview with last Sunday's Mail, referred to some of the problems within our own party. It takes courage and, above all, integrity and honesty to face up to such challenges. It is easy to remain constrained by a strange pact of silence, papering over cracks in order to avoid being labelled a dissident or a rebel. It is easier still to brand colleagues with such crude titles. Of course, it is far more difficult to confront shortcomings and tackle them face on. My party, Fine Gael, and its predecessors founded our republic. It is a party of great tradition, pride, ethos, and a solid value system which is based on the principles of Christian democracy. It is the party which can genuinely transform Ireland. For that to happen, however, we must transform ourselves and our own culture. We must ignite a new energy and a new hunger within the party. Fine Gael must demonstrate greater ambition for our country and show much higher standards for our people. That means there can be no room in Fine Gael for cute-hooer politics. These are the politics which have defined and tainted Irish public life like an incurable cancer. We cannot be satisfied with low standards in high places. Fine Gael in government must be much, much more than simply Fianna Fáil light. We cannot, on the one hand, condemn Fianna Fáil for entertaining developers in the Galway tent, while on the other hand extend the biscuit tin for contributions from high-profile developers who are beholden to NAMA. The Irish people expect more from Fine Gael. They demand more, and they are right. Fine Gael cannot equivocate about the standards we wish to bring to the running of our great republic. We need a real new politics of substance rather than sound bites. We need a politics that is about serving the people of Ireland, not simply about replacing Fianna Fáil. It is time for a politics built on courage, integrity and truth. That is the politics which I signed up for and the sort of public service which the Irish people so desperately need and so badly deserve. Thank you very much.